Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now Anthony Joshua recently done an interview and I will leave a link to that in the description down below. Now obviously Anthony Joshua has pledged to support grassroots boxing, which is great. It is welcome news for grassroots boxing because obviously there was a package that was put together to help grassroots level sports around the UK and boxing was not part of that. So this is great news for that, especially considering Anthony Joshua is leading the way by doing this. Hopefully there are other sportsmen and particularly boxers who want to do this as well to help out a sport that really does give back to the community in more ways than can be imagined. Now, in that, Anthony Joshua also spoke about the Tyson Fury fight and he was quite coy on the idea of fighting Tyson Fury. He doesn't really want to talk about it too much because he's either going to be fighting Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk. Whichever fight he takes is going to be a tough one, and I think we will all agree with that. If he fights Usyk, it's a tough fight. Undefeated, former undisputed cruiserweight champion coming up to heavyweight. If he fights Tyson Fury, WBC world champion, two-time heavyweight champion, undefeated also, beating names like Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder in his career. So it's going to be a tough fight next for Anthony Joshua. No easy fights from here on out. But he wants Tyson Fury to be serious about this fight and not just talk about it, because he said that Tyson Fury speaking about Anthony Joshua not calling him out after Pulev, he said that there needs to be less talk and more action, no chasing until it's serious. So he's kind of tired of talking, he just wants to get in there and do the business really. Let his team deal with all of the logistics, all of the fine details, because that is what they are there to do. He's the guy who gets in and does the fighting. So if it's Tyson Fury, if it's Usyk, Anthony Joshua will turn up on fight night ready for a 12-round fight. That is the way it's going to be going forwards, especially after the Andy Ruiz Jr. situation where he was getting emotionally involved in talking about Deontay Wilder, talking about Tyson Fury, those kind of fights, whereas what he wants to do now is focus on the man in front of him, just as he did at Kubrat Pulev, a mandatory challenger who was a tough test for him. He dealt with business, he handled it, and it's on to the next one, whoever that might be. Now of course, as you would imagine, he was asked to give comment on this WBO situation, and he said that he will let go of the WBO if that is what the public want to fight Tyson Fury. So he's not keen on the idea of dropping a belt to go and fight for another one, but if that is the fight the public want to see, then AJ will vacate that WBO to go and fight Tyson Fury. But it is in his plans to go and then fight for the WBO again when he can. So he'll fight Tyson Fury, then go after Usyk or Joe Joyce, whoever wins that vacant title, because that is what he wants, undisputed. At one point, he even did go as far as saying it's going to be Tyson Fury next, WBO or not. So Anthony Joshua clearly does want that fight, but again, if he has to go and fight Alexander Usyk, if that is the most plausible option for him, then it's still a tough fight, it's still a fight that he is invested in. Because there are no easy fights at this level. Now interestingly enough, Anthony Joshua also said that he is already looking into sparring for Tyson Fury. He even spoke about it, to think that who will he get in, and what will his approach be in this fight? He said that he wants to break it down because what he is learning to do and developing is the ability to slow things down in the ring because he doesn't want to be burning nervous energy. He explained that when you move your arm quickly, someone flinches, he doesn't want to be reacting like that. He wants to break things down, slow it down in the ring because things can seem like they're going 100 miles an hour or more, but he wants to slow it down and work out what Tyson Fury does well and take those things away and exploit any weaknesses he can find in Tyson Fury. That is the approach he wants to take. Similar to Canelo is what he explained, and his performance over Callum Smith. Going in there with a style tailored to win, whether it's similar to the one in Andy Ruiz Jr. 2 or the Kubrat Pulev fight, his style will be tailored to whatever opponent is in front of him, and he has proven that he is able to do that. Tyson Fury though does represent a completely different challenge for Anthony Joshua, but AJ does predict and he expects to get a knockout against Tyson Fury. I think that Anthony Joshua recognises that the public do want to see him in there with Tyson Fury, more so maybe than anyone else in the heavyweight division. So that is the fight that he is currently looking at towards. Obviously there are some things that stand in his way, but nothing big enough to stop the fight from happening. I think that that is what Anthony Joshua is getting at. He is not going to allow this fight to be prevented, just like the Deontay Wilder one, because he even did touch on that in the interview, that he doesn't want to talk about building brands or building profiles, let's just make the fight happen. Obviously that does call into mention the Deontay Wilder situation, and what Wilder done during that period of time when undisputed could have been between AJ and Deontay Wilder. Wilder was more interested in building his brand, his profile, his name in the sport of boxing and earning more money because of that, fighting fighters such as Dominic Breazeale. That is what Deontay Wilder was seemingly doing while in negotiations with AJ. Tyson Fury should and will be different because actually Tyson Fury does want the fight. So with this time around, Anthony Joshua is not getting emotionally involved in the minor details, the things that don't matter to him. The things that matter to him is finding a game plan, training correctly, and preparing for the opponent in front of him. Nothing else really matters. He has a brilliant team around him that can deal with those details. And his management team at 258 and Matchroom are doing that. They have Anthony Joshua's best interest in mind, so that is why they are working so hard at resolving this WBO situation, which won't be a problem because if AJ has to vacate, then that is what he will do. And Anthony Joshua will go and fight Tyson Fury because that is the fight that the public do want. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Anthony Joshua does not want to get caught up with all of the talking, all of the hype. He just wants to make the fight happen with Tyson Fury. If not, then he will fight Usyk, which in itself is a very good fight. I think that Anthony Joshua versus Usyk does make for a very interesting heavyweight matchup. I do think Anthony Joshua would be too strong, too big and too powerful for Alexander Usyk. I think that also he can match him with his speed, because you would think that with Alexander Usyk coming up from cruiserweight, he's going to be fast and good on his feet, which he is. He's incredible with his footwork, but Anthony Joshua is also good on his feet, has a good positioning, and he's also very fast and an explosive power puncher. I'd say nearly as fast, if not as fast, as Alexander Usyk himself, so AJ will cause a lot of problems for Usyk. Good fight again, but then the Tyson Fury fight is the one the public want, so I think that we can expect to see that fight happen before Usyk. No easy fights at this level, but the one he wants is Tyson Fury because the public demand is there, because also it will help and benefit boxing from grassroots level all the way through to world level. So the fight seems like it will happen in 2021. Let's hope it stays on course and it does actually happen. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below. The link to this interview also with Anthony Joshua is in the description, and make sure you go give it a watch. Make sure also you leave a like and a subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.